do it. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Yeah, thanks, Shia. We're now in the Stream Mindset. Thank you to Shia LaBeouf for stopping in, motivating us all. We're going to be working on drum technique today, and to do that, I'm going to be using some of the free resources here on my website, jaredoleary.com/drum. There's 1,800 hours of free drumming content on my website, and plenty of stuff to keep you and I busy for quite some time. So we're going to be refining my technique. My left hand is a bit off. I've been playing drums for 25 years, and I marched traditional when I marched back in the day. But now I play match grip, and my left hand is suffering because of that technique change after several years of traditional. So I'm continuing to try and refine that. But before we actually refine things, I'm going to warm up. So there's a lot of different stuff that you could play on here. Like there's 710 grid variations. There's a bunch of technique stuff, all sorts of fun things that you can use to kind of get your hands moving, your blood flowing and whatnot. And I'm actually going to warm up, and I'm going to warm up with triplet diddle. So right down here, you clicky-clack, and then there's 4 different videos inside of this playlist. I'm going to do the 4-count version, and we're going to do it with normal diddles instead of the inverted diddles. If you don't know what an inverted diddle is, then check out that one. It's got it all written out for you. Okay, so if you scroll down into the timestamps for every single one of these, you can jump to a very specific BPM, and then it'll give you a count off. If it ends with a 0 or a 5, it'll give you like a few seconds to kind of get yourself all situated, and then it'll start. Like this. Okay, now we're going to do it 3 inches. Six inches. Whoopsies. My bad. Inches. 12 inches. Alrighty, we're now going to start speeding this up a wee bit, and we're going to do this just to get the blood flowing before we stretch and massage. Let's go to 130. And then we'll get into actually refining the technique after we stretch and massage. Stay tuned for more. By, whoops, 10s. So let's go to 140. 140. Kohi. And I think I'll stop at 160 and then stretch and massage. So we'll play through that, and then afterwards we will intentionally try and get to the breaking point, which probably won't be hard to do because my arm's still sore. Click. That's a weird little popping sound that the speakers made. All right, 160. Let's stretch and massage now. So first thing I'm going to do is hold my sticks so that my palms are facing up. And then, this is weird. Follow along. You go like this. You pull in. You follow through. And you push out. Whoo-wee. Still got palms up, but now they're all twisted-turny. It's a weird stretch, but it feels great. Hey, Sophia. Good morning. Hopefully you're feeling better and not sick. And then you go back out the other way. Now, if you do traditional grip, like I used to, you rotate like this, and you hold it there. And then you rotate the other direction, and you hold it there. But I don't do that anymore, so I'm not going to do that now. Excuse me. Yesterday, I demonstrated how you can stretch your tendons like this, but I did it on the pad. I'm going to do it today on the wall. So the lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Don't put all your weight into it. All right, now I'm going to demonstrate a way that you can stretch your forearm. So instead of doing one at a time here, you could do it here on your legs. You could do it on your pad like I did yesterday, but today I'm going to show you on the wall. The higher you go, the deeper the stretch. And now we're doing thumb to thumb. You're just watching it, not stretching. I mean, it's great even if you don't drum. It helps relax your hands. No, I appreciate it. All right, so we're going 2 at a time by doing finger to finger. You could do it like this, but it just takes twice as long. So why not save yourself the time? Unless you really want to kind of slow cook your muscles. And your tendons and all that stuff. And the last one, pinky. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to massage. So for this one, I'm doing thumb on top, and the fingers are massaging underneath, and just kind of working the way up and down the forearm, and trying to loosen up all the muscles and get nice and relaxed. That's the goal, at least. Whew. My arms are tight. No, I appreciate the like and the sub. Thank you. Be playing some Fortnite here in like an hour, so stay tuned for more gaming. Now I'll switch to the other one. Ooh-wee. Oh, it's so tight. It's still got that. Still a little discolored from the injury, but it's the tightness that's the hard part. Ooh. Affects the playing. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to massage the palm with the thumb, and then the fingers are going to massage the back side of the hand. Try and get nice and loose. Relax all the muscles. And switch to the other hand. And now I'm going to go from the base to the tip of each one of the fingers, massaging along the way at least 2, maybe 3 times, maybe 10. Depends on how the finger is feeling. Oh, a little pop. ASMR experience. Enjoy that. And then, okay, the left hand felt all right. Left fingers, that is. Kind of wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah. Do the wiggle, yeah. And then we're going to go back and we're going to intentionally try and chop out. I don't think I'll be able to get all the way to 200 today, but stay tuned. Okay. My arms are still tight. Still healing. All right, let's try 170. Not too shabby. So the goal when doing this is trying to make it so that the height stay the same regardless of what diddle pattern you're playing. So if you were to watch this at mute from a distance, all the height should just look like it's just playing check pattern. Cut. Let's try 190. I think I can. And then we'll attempt 200. attempt is the key word there. Whoops. I left off a diddle on the left hand. I'm so sorry. That was not the appropriate interpretation of the outside fives. By the way, thank you, Josh, for the follow. Appreciate you. On Facebook. We're live on YouTube, on Twitch, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Kick. All the platforms. Hey, we survived. Yeah. I'm slightly worried there. All right. That play-along, if you're just joining, is found at the link at the top of the screen. JaredO'Leary.com/drum. There's a bunch of chop stuff. There's a bunch of limb independent stuff, some charts for drum kit, 710 grid variations, all the prior live streams, all the tips that I give in the live streams, bunch of technique stuff, and over 100 bass permutations and splits timing things to work on. So keep you busy for quite some time. By the way, if you're curious what kind of sticks, pads, etc. I'm using, if you go to /gear instead of /drum, or if you go up here and just go down to gear I use, then this shows you everything. So, like the drum triggers on the drum kit behind me. What kind of foot pedal am I using? What kind of microphones? Computers, the games I've been playing, and a lot of different percussion books and whatnot that I recommend, as well as the pads that I'm playing on. There's a pad underneath this pad. Pad Inception. And then the kind of sticks I'm using. So I'm using the Hardeman hammers, which are extra heavy chop building sticks, and they're double taped, so they're great for working on your chops. So if anyone's curious, you can go here. These are affiliate links, so I basically get around 4%-ish back from Amazon if you happen to use these affiliate links. But it's no cost to you. It just helps support my channel for free if you're going to already buy one of these things. All right, so we're going to be working on my left technique. So like I said at the beginning of the stream, so I march snare, traditional, forever. But now I don't play this anymore, so now I'm doing match grip, and I'm trying to get used to it. So my left hand technique is not exactly the way I want it to be. So in particular, I have a tendency to play with a flatter hand in my left than with my right, so I want to fix that. I also have a tendency to make it so that the left hand is a little bit higher up. This is way exaggeration. It's more like centimeters, but a little bit higher up like this than my right hand. And there's also some issues with some of the heights. And one of the things that I'm specifically working on is my wrist rotation and movement. So we want this to kind of go up while this part goes down in one fluid motion where it's kind of a rotation. It's a hybrid rotary French technique, except using American grip. But see yesterday's stream if you're curious what on earth I just said right there, because that was a weird combination of words. But before we do that, let's get some mizu. Oishii desu. Okay, so we're going to be playing some accent taps and whatnot, but before we do that, I want to start off with just doing this. So, whoops, you don't see it. There we go. Under the technique, there's rebound and rebound canon. So this exercise, if you like actually read through this, it's a great way that you can work on your velocity stroke. So velocity stroke is like when you try and get the bead of the stick into the head and back up as fast as possible. So you're kind of like throwing it down in and then getting out of the way so the stick rebounds as quickly as you possibly can. That was fun. So you're not doing like a fluid motion like this. You're literally as fast as possible, regardless of how slow this is. Like if this is 16th notes, you're going to be freezing at the top. So it's kind of a weird stroke, but it's specifically working on the velocity stroke. So read the description if you're interested in learning more about that. I, however, am going to just focus on the up and down motions right now. Because what I was noticing is that there's like a slight little rotation, this is way exaggeration, with the bead of the stick. So the bead was kind of having this like oval shape pattern rather than a straight up and down, which is not what I want. Okay, so I'm going to put my stick here, and this is going to prevent it from kind of moving with that oval pattern, and this will help me to play a little bit better. That's the goal, at least. Okay. 90 might be okay, but we're gonna start off at 80. Ba-da-ba-ba. Okay, let's move the pad a little bit. Here we go. My ring is causing a little bit of a click, which is also some of the reason why my technique sounds different, because I would modify my left hand so it wouldn't click with the ring, so I wouldn't have to take off the ring. So you hear some of that. Did it come with laminates? No, I had to order the laminates separate. Excellent question, Austin. So the both of the small quadruped and the large, which is currently the one that you see, the small's underneath it, they did not come with laminates. I had to pay extra for them. Sometimes some places will have a bundle, but Amazon I do not think has a bundle. But if you use the /gear link on my website, then you can get that. And it's an affiliate link, so it helps support this channel. Okay, so it's feeling a little bit better. They are. So they're a worthwhile investment, though. So I bought my quadruped in the early 2000s, maybe 2003, and they're still going strong. Yeah, the laminates make it more articulate, so you can hear some of the mistakes a little bit. Hey, Wes, good morning again in Brazil. But they're not necessary. Without laminates, it actually makes it a little bit more of a chop burner, but it's still good. I prefer the articulation, so I can kind of hear some of the mistakes. Again, multi-streaming, so sometimes I talk to people who are not in your chat. They're in a different one. Okay. Let's do... I like this. I like that it's working on the problem that I identified yesterday, one of the problems. I want to do this a little bit more, and then I'm going to do some accent taps and see how those go with this. Because it's, yeah, still needs some refinement. One of the things I actually did many years ago is I built, instead of having one stick at a time, like holding it so you could get that straight motion, is I actually built a thing with plexiglass where it basically was plexiglass like this, and then it had connections at the top, and then a second layer right inside of it. So it's like you had a layer of plexiglass like this, and let me put it like that, and then another one like this. So you could put your sticks inside of the track, and the plexiglass made it so that you could actually see through it, so you could see the heights and make sure that everything was good, while it forced your sticks to be able to only move straight up and down. And so that was great for when I was working on trying to not slice or anything. You don't want to like play like this. So that's a very OCD way that you can do it. Or the cheap method is just use your stick, but you can only play one at a time. So that's the problem with it. So anyways, back here. So we're going to do this again, but this time I'm going to check it out with the full camera view. So I should do it like that. Play. And two, and here we go. Hand's kind of in the way. There we go. Okay. Sort of, kind of. The problem is, like, trying to get the angle with it without blocking the camera and whatnot. So let's go here. Let's go live. And we're going to mute myself. And we're going to go boop, 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 boop. Back a little bit. And we're going to check out the technique specifically of my left hand to see how it's going. Oh, I appreciate it, Wes. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's helping out with your drumming. There's so much content on my channel just for drumming stuff, but the most organized place to go is the link at the top of the screen, /drum on my website. so you can find everything. Otherwise, just go to the playlists and whatnot. But all the prior live streams are still up there, so you can see all my mistakes and how I try and work through them and whatnot. Interesting. So this looks better, like the wrist motion, than it did yesterday. So it's getting there. The wrist is bending here. You can't really see it very good from the top-down angle. You can see it a wee bit right here on the... Well, if you're in vertical format, you can't really see that because everything's so small. But on YouTube, you might see it better. Okay, so yeah, it's getting better. It's just still not ideal. Make sure we're not at quarter speed. Okay, let's continue to work on this. So this seems to be assisting with it, which is great. That's what we want. Okay, so we're gonna do 91. I'll get up to 100, and then I'll start working on accent tabs. Looks like I'm trying to start a fire. Hands are getting tired. Alright, let's change the angle. Glad I set up the foot pedals again. Change it here a little bit. Rim shot, extra seasoning. Okay, let's pause that. Let's go there. Let's see, how to deal with learning plateaus. I recently learned a spree on quads. can play it, but I want to take it to the next level and make it sound really good. What do you suggest? Yeah, great question. So the thing that I actually recommend is slowing it down, like ridiculously slow. So since you mentioned quads, one of the things that I've streamed and what I have been working on is a solo from Bill Bachman's book, which is called Quad Logic. Well, one of his books. So if you go here under books I recommend, it's this one. So it's towards the end of the book, and it's called Beatlicious, and you'll see me slow it all the way down to 40 and go measure at a time, and then go one click at a time to go a little bit faster. I'll resume working on it again next week, but the trick is that there's kind of mentioned it the other day, but there's this gray area when you're practicing between techniques, where there's the slow technique and then there's the fast technique, and then in the middle is where your hands are like, wait, which one am I supposed to use for like the diddles? Is it going to be a controlled rebound stroke, or am I going to literally wrist every single one of the notes, etc.? And that gray area is likely where you need to find and just sit and work on that in particular to actually get the spree to sound better. So the way that I learned how to play fast was by slowing things down. So you'll see me practice this stuff at 40, or if it's 16th note, maybe even all the way down to 20, etc. And we'll gradually go up one click at a time, sometimes by fives, find that gray area, and then sit there and work with it and refine the technique, and then slowly get a little bit faster. That's where I spend about 80% of my time. The remaining a little bit of my time, like if I'm doing like an hour-long session, I might spend the last like 5 or 10 minutes chopping out. So you spend the bulk of your period working on your technique, refining things, and then you spend 5 to 10% of your time just pushing past your limits. So let's say you can play the spree at, I don't know, 140 if it's triplet or something. And your goal is to, on those chop out portions, to play it at 145. You're trying to train your brain to think a little bit faster and your hands to play a little bit faster than they actually can. It also then will give you data that you can work on for next time. So you see me at the end of streams, at least most streams, not this week because of the injury. You'll see me at the very end intentionally chop out. And I'm doing that to have fun at the end, but it's also giving me some data to figure out, okay, what can I slow down and work on for the next time that I'm refining my technique the next day. So spend most of your time refining slow, a little bit of your time playing faster than you should, and use that to collect data, but to also train your brain and your hands to think a little bit faster. Another thing you can do is mental practice. So you want to have high verisimilitude, which is a very fancy word for basically making it as lifelike as possible when you're practicing. And you can do this anywhere. So I would actually practice in class without actually moving my hands or drumming. And it looked like I was paying attention, but really I was just in my head playing through shopping sprees or whatever, and just like refining my technique that way. So that's another way that you can get more reps in without actually having to have sticks in your hand. But you can also just like play by wristing it if you're able to without annoying people and whatnot. So many different ways to approach it, but just know that it takes a long time to get good at stuff, and you really gotta like sweat the details, like really focus on the little things, so that way you can gradually get better over time. But hopefully that helps. There's no like silver bullet, like, well, if you just set your metronome to 76 and you turn your face east and then like cluck like a chicken, then all of a sudden you're gonna have great flam drags. Like, it really is just like you gotta grind quite a bit. It takes a lot of time. Like, I've been playing for 25 years and I'm still refining stuff because always things to improve. Let's do 16th note, and I want to work on accents and taps. So what I'm debating right now is, do I want to do the forward version or the backwards version of grid? Survey says let's do the stock version. And I'm going to open this up, and we're going to start off at 60. You feel like it should sound better, but you put a lot of time into it? Yeah. So break it down even more. Like, figure out, well, what specifically is the problem? Is it like the flam drags? Is that the problem? If so, well, then figure out what is each hand doing. Is it The flam accents. Okay, well then figure out like what's going on. Like you can do like a flam accent buildup. Like this is one example of how you can like break down a rudiment. So we're just going to flam accents. Here, let me just make it bigger. So flam accents. And eventually just one hand. Add in the grace note. The other accent. So that's like an exercise you can kind of like improvise to come up with a way to work on your flam accents. And really just sit there and break it down. But if you do it with like flam drags, now you have ends with a diddle, etc. So whatever it is that your problem is, let's say it's book reports. Okay, well, for that one, you have to work on paradiddles with a flam on 3, or maybe it's the diddles, and it's not the flam. Maybe that's the issue. Break that down. Find ways to deconstruct whatever the rudiments are of the issue, and slowly start to work them up. Spacing your flams is too open. Okay, so well, here's an exercise for that. So this was taught to me by Jeff Clean, who's a 4-time world champion snare drummer. So dude can play. I took a couple of lessons from him, and one of the things he recommended was an exercise called 50 perfect flams. And by perfect, it's like it means the consistent spacing in it. So let's say this hand is your grace note, this hand is your primary note, and the distance between them is like how much time there is in there. So if you have a normal flam, you're going to have like a cha sound like this. If you get a flat flam where they play at the exact same time, then you get a pop sound. If it's too open, then you get a gada sound. Okay, so what you want to be able to do is control this distance and be able to intentionally play flat, regular, and open flams. So one of the things that he recommended doing was 50 perfect flat flams, so that they sound at the same time, like this, except with the grace note low. 50 perfect normal flams, where it's a cha sound. Okay, so that kind of sound, except grace notes low. And 50 perfect open flams, where you have gada, 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 gada. So being able to control that distance and intentionally open, normal, flat, back to normal, back to open, and do that with both hands, with different flam patterns, etc. That's one way that you can like work on that spacing, is intentionally trying to control how close that grace note is or how far away it is from your primary note. So that's how you can work on your flam spacing and whatnot. I could actually make a play along for that. Yeah, that gives me an idea. Stay tuned. Yeah. Focus on those little things. Break it down as much as possible, and like literally you're just focusing on like not just the height, but the literal spacing between the grace note and the primary note and whatnot. Get as OCD as possible, and that will pay off in the long run. Especially on tenors. Like, no offense to tenor players, but they're not as OCD as snare players. You'll notice like a lot of tenor players will have like their flam accents like that, whereas a snare player will play it that way. Well, why? Because snares only have to focus on 2 heights, and tenors have all this other stuff where they're playing behind their back, etc. So they've got a lot more to worry about. But tenor players aren't as refined with the technique. So honestly, sit with like some snare drummers and like try and play at that level across the different drums. Be that OCD about it. That's how you get really good at it. Which is something I'm working on, because I'm not a tenor player, but I like playing tenors. So I'm refining it, which you'll see next week. Yeah, you think your flams are suffering on it? Well, I mean, with the flams, like, another thing you can do is this. So I got my tenor sticks out. When you're playing, tenors, just improvise like flam accent patterns or something. So just play whatever kind of pattern you want, and just try and get used to making it so that like your hand doesn't move underneath like this. When you're doing a crossover, you want to just like this hand remain stationary, etc. while you're playing. But just like get used to playing and make up stuff. So you could like practice your spree and not play the way it's written. So one of the things that I would do when I was teaching tenors is we'd play it all on one drum, so we could refine it like a snare drummer. And then we would play it so that you make up whatever kind of crossovers around the back, whatever you want, but still play the same rhythms, and then play it as written. So that makes it so that you're still focusing on the rhythms, but you're just moving around however you want, and you're just trying to get more comfortable moving around the drums. So kind of have fun with it. And then when you play it as written, then ideally it should sound better because you worked on it on one drum, you worked on any drum, and then you worked on it as written. But many ways to practice. Find some ways to like kind of create your own exercises or challenges for yourself to just have fun while you're playing and slowly improve. That's the goal, at least. Speaking of slowly improving, let's try and slowly improve my accent taps. We're going to do this at 60. And again, I'm going to specifically focus on that left hand and trying to play a little bit better. So it's not getting that oval, whoops, stroke. We want straight up and down. Oops. Okay, I'm going to go up by 5s on this one. I want to just try and find some data for some things that I will work on tomorrow. We were at 60, right? Yeah. 60? Yeah. 65 now. Get the fire extinguisher out. These hands are on fire. Duh. Oh, I forgot to review the last playthrough of the Rebound. Oh well, I'll look at it when I do my video review, stream review later on today. Try and find some clips to share to help people out. That's the goal, at least. Thinking. It's like, what's another way that I could actually build Kind of like that plexiglass thing, but even simpler. If you had like a thing that went under your pad, so like around it, and had two rods sticking up, and then your sticks went in between those rods. So like this, and then two here. And that's one way you can do that. Thinking. Okay. What were we just at? 70. All right, let's go to 75. You could do it here. Sometimes I focus on things too much, like what I'm going to say or like what I'm trying to correct, and then it screws me up. So my brain just forgets what I'm playing. Whoopsies. Dog is eating. I was like, what did that sound? We'll go up to 90. So we'll do 85, 90, and then I don't want to chop out too much because again, my right hand is still really tight. Still healing. Last rep for the morning. And then we're going to play some Fortnite here in a wee bit. Whoops. Okay, so some data that I just got from that is my thumb was starting to tighten up, and also I was starting to tighten up back here on my forearm, so that was interesting. So I need to make sure that when I'm playing fast that I'm staying nice and relaxed and whatnot. So, cool. So if you have a problem with slicing, where you're drumming and it's kind of like looking like this, one of the ways that you can fix it is just doing one hand at a time, holding a stick straight up and down, and just kind of play accent taps, 16th notes, whatever you need to to get that feeling down of moving just straight up and down with the guidance and whatnot. Eventually, you'll be able to kind of like move the stick away from it and still be able to go straight up and down after you practice it. So that way you don't have like this like woo oval approach when you're playing, or the slicing approach where it kind of comes in at an angle. So that's a great way that you can work on that. If you have somebody else to assist you with it, they could potentially put 2 sticks up and hold it while you play, and that can help out. And if you have 4, then you can have 2 guiding on each side and 2 guiding on each side. That can help out with fixing slicing. That will turn into a clip. We'll share it. Stay tuned. You'll see it live here on my website, jaredoleary.com/drum. 1,800 hours of free drumming content. Plenty of stuff to keep us busy for some time now. If you're curious about like what I'm working on prior drum streams and whatnot, like you can see, okay, I focus on, I don't know, let's go back a while. Quad Logic, pages 43 to 44. So if you click on this one and you pause it, you'll notice that there are timestamps that show you what I worked on for different sections of this. So like for here, I worked on exercise 5 on page 43, but for right here, I worked on page 44, exercise 10. This was exercise 11, that one I spent more time on. So I do add in timestamps to these to kind of help you find what I'm working on and how I'm doing that. So you can find 176 prior streams. That's a lot. But anyways, I'm going to call it here, and I'm going to set up for some Fortnite. So stay tuned for that in like less than 30 minutes or so. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I appreciate all the questions and whatnot. Hopefully it helps you out with your own drumming. That's the goal, at least. That's why I, created this website to begin with. But if you're on my YouTube channel, just remember that I create a bunch of computer science education stuff, drumming stuff, and gaming stuff. So the best way that you could possibly find all of my content is to go to the playlists or the homepage and then just click on the drumming content header. And then, boom, it only shows you the playlist for the drumming stuff. Otherwise, you'll find all of the gaming content and computer science stuff as well. So, thank you again, everybody. I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day, and maybe I'll see you later.